Zambia has always been home, a special place where something is always happening. And information must be shared with the peace-loving citizens. And after all this time, it still remains a privilege for us to deliver information to you. Appreciating our stories, our people, our way of life. The things that really matter to us. Here, our home Zambia. We are TV1, your national broadcaster, just for you.
On Strictly Business today, we get into issues of innovation, the youth, as well as who is driving the economic agenda and by what innovation. And what exactly do we mean by innovation? We also break the myth in terms of consensus. Is it a myth or fact when it comes to the business world? And we get into the biztainment of things. We talk to Chef 187. What is his music empire riding on?
There's lots of business aspects that go into entertainment itself.
This is Strictly Business. I'm Judy Ngulube. Now, we know that Zambia's population is considerably, if you want, more than half of Zambia's population is on the youthful side. And when you talk about the youth, that means they speak to what is going to happen in terms of the development agenda. And when you put that into consideration as well, there are all those documents that are talking about Zambia's economic growth, Zambia's sustainable development. Now, if you talk about sustainable development, we all know that it's what the policies are talking about. How are we going to make sure that what we have today, what we are being given, but put into consideration the future generation? That is where the youths come in. Now, this era, most people are looking at it as the innovative area, the IT era, the information era. But does this mean that innovation only leans more to that side? But what is innovation? So the youths are going to be the leaders, but how are they speaking to the development agenda of the country? I'm glad that I have Kenny Sinyangwe. He is a lead business consultant, and we'll be talking about what's happening with the youth, the development agenda, and of course, our country, Zambia. Kenny, thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. It's always a pleasure and honor to actually be hosted by you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sure you've had a lot of interactions because this year, 2020 has seen monies being given out like I don't know what. In terms of financial help, the police is speaking to making sure that, you know, startups are getting those finances.
It's been a very busy year. COVID-19 has taught us a lot of things. Supply chain being disrupted has taught us a lot of things. But one of the biggest things that seems to come out very loud, and I think a lot of people are not seeing the innovation around this and the dots that we're trying to connect now, is export. Now, export being that there's a lot of stuff that is needed out there. You know, talk about electric cars coming at 2025, becoming big, so copper, manganese, and nickel becomes some of the materials. Talking about supply chain disruption, food, what we call food security in Zambia. But look, it's a global crisis. You know, Angola wants food, Zimbabwe wants food. So when you look at all these things happening and happening around us, you start to think that we probably need to become a solution. Now, if we're going to become a solution as Zambia, the next best people to talk to are the youth. And have them start to think how they can connect the dots and how we can, as Zambia, start developing these solutions that will be needed in Angola, that will be needed in Botswana, Kenya, and basically in the East Asia, as well as Europe.
But do we have the policies and finances that are tailored to create this atmosphere you're talking about?
Unfortunately, we are shifting. I would say not yet. We're working towards it. I've seen the development agency making effort. They just finished having the impacts where they're talking about export. We've seen the Bureau of Standards have a partnership with the Association of Manufacturers. They're also talking export. So meaning that song is starting to become clearer, and people are now starting to put pen and paper to the agenda
but
of
if we have
of
all
export.
these stakeholders coming through, giving out either a direction or an ambience that will create such, money is being given out to make sure that, you know, they can help boost certain businesses, certain entrepreneurs, why then aren't we seeing the results?
One thing I'll tell you about innovation does take time. Innovation is not a quick solution. Innovation is around failure all the time. And that's why we're trying to bridge the gap, because we want the youth to drive the innovation. Remember when the monies came out in the beginning, the youth were told what they needed to do, and they refused. They said, no, we have what we want to do, but what we want is probably not even money. Some of us just want access to market, or we just need somebody that can hold us our hands and let us go through the door, or the $1 million door. You get it. So with this approach, it has made, it's making things a lot easier, and we're starting to see, like we're saying, we're starting to see the results, where young people are realizing in order to create the $1 million jobs that we're looking for, we have to create companies. And we need to formalize. What we have is the informal sector, right, which is largely the base of our businesses. Like I don't want to say industry, because we want to create industry when we formalize the informal sector.
I'll take you to something you spoke of earlier, innovation. When we talk of innovation these days, it's leaning more to ICT. Is that innovation? Is that it? Or it's just that people look at it that way?
ICT is trending because every billionaire that's out there now has something to do with ICT. People are not looking at mining anymore. And that's why every time you talk about innovation, everyone is thinking, oh no, we need to start the next app and become the next Facebook or something. But you're forgetting that today you had breakfast. And in your breakfast, what did you have? There was tea. There was sugar. You understand? Like everybody's consuming something, you know. And innovation now is, how do you simplify how people can access these things? That's where innovation basically kicks in. So that's why we're now saying that we have to lead, and we're bringing in the leadership aspect of it, because we're consuming a lot of foreign products. And if you've seen the way Zambia is performing when it comes to what we call the deficit on import and exports, we're importing more than we're exporting. And that's why our economy the dollar issue has been a bit of a problem for most people who are importing. But for those that are exporting, it's exciting. The 21 or 20 kwacha to a dollar is what you need.
Something
you know,
for
like
them,
it's
isn't it?
awesome.
You were talking of some interaction that you had, and I know there was West African flavor in that one.
Yes.
You brought in that. And when you look at Africa and you give a comparison for certain countries, especially the West Africans, maybe would be specific Nigeria, there's this enthusiasm and there's this energy that they go with. And I know you had somebody from there at the interaction that you have. What can we borrow for some of these places and people?
One thing I'll tell you about Nigerians, they have this amazing energy, and they have this strong energy. They would, look, it was very clear. I mean, when Adekunle was speaking, he said one of the biggest problems we have is laziness. You know, there's a saying that if an opportunity was found in the pits of hell, the West will probably arrive within 2-3 days, but us will show up 3 weeks later looking for a job. So now we're trying to use this innovation now to try and get us to become front leaders. And the Nigerians are among the best people around the world out there, among the business leaders that we have, you know, as next to Zimbabweans. You know, we have the Strive Masiras out there, we have the Aliko Dangotes out there. So there's this cultural side in their quest for innovation. And what even impressed me is I did see the Minister of Youth and Sports talk about youth and sports not just being about sports, but also about entrepreneurship. And I was so amazed that the minister of from Nigeria speaking. You understand? Like he's talking about how they can produce, export, and do all these amazing things. And it's not just about sports and football and things like that. So I think
how
they
you
have
can all turn that into money, isn't it?
I think they've got it right. I think they're leading the Renaissance, the second Renaissance, the second wave of African entrepreneurs.
It's been so interesting talking to you when you have Kenny on the show. I mean, this is an ongoing conversation and definitely something that we can keep talking about.
Okay.
I appreciate you coming through.
Thank you very much.
All right. I have been talking to Kenny Nyangwe. He is a lead business consultant, and we've been talking issues of innovation when it comes to the youth being leaders in every aspect you can think of, be it in the corporate world, be it in entrepreneurship. But as long as they are pushing their agenda to make sure that Zambia moves from one economic tier to the other one. You're watching Strictly Business. Let's get to our business myth or fact. We took our cameras into the streets of Lusaka, and here is the question that they asked.
Is team building a way to building consensus?
Our myth or fact, that is our business myth or fact from the streets of Lusaka. So we have the gentleman there asking, teamwork is about building consensus. So we're going to break this. Is it a myth or it's a fact? And to help us talk about that one, we have Alfred Chirwa. He is from Alfie's Corporate Innovations. Alfred, thank you so much for coming through. How are you?
Thanks for having me, Judy. I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm fine. So the gentleman there was asking us, teamwork is about building consensus. Do you say this is a myth or it's a fact?
I think I like the analogy that I should work with when I'm doing like team building exercises. Is that when you have a duet, say in a musical concert, the issue there is to create harmony between the two, you know. Or alternatively, if you've got an orchestra, so you've got somebody on on an organ, you've got somebody on a saxophone, and so what they're trying to do is they're trying to create harmony and then please the people in an audience. So they need to create this good music, you know, all the crescendos and all those things that are happening in music. So would it be a myth to say we're trying to create different sounds to give a good melody, or would it be a fact? So I think for me that's a fact. So when you're doing teamwork, the point is you're trying to get different ingredients, okay, which is factual. Different ingredients, like in a stew, a pot of of soup or something. You put the chili, you put all these spices together. At the end of the day, you will have to get a good meal. So that's a fact. It can't be a myth.
So it's a business fact, definitely.
It's a business fact. You do need to work as a team. Look, any organization, you cannot work in isolation. Any organization will have accounting, you have your marketing department, you've got your operations department. For those teams to create or to bring about the results that the organization was set up for, they must work in tandem. They must work together to bring out that result. So it cannot be a myth. It must be a fact. They must work together. So teamwork or team building is supposed to be a fact. It can't be a myth.
Thank you very much. And there you go. I hope you've heard your answer out there. You asked us, teamwork is about building consensus. Is it a business fact or myth? And Alfred Chirwa has let us know that it is a fact. That was it for business myth or fact. We get to our corporate news. She has an extensive corporate career, having been appointed as Barclays Bank Zambia board chair in 2017, becoming first female to serve in that capacity on the bank's history in Zambia. She was also managing partner when she took over the running of Ben Nakateka and Company in 1994, which later in 1996 became a BDO International. Other entities associated with her are Kafue Textiles, World Bank, Zamnet, and a few more others. Renowned corporate leader Tshala Kateka has become the first to enter the race for the 2021 election under the New Heritage Party, which was re-registered after founder Brigadier General Godfrey Miyanda recently deregistered it. This is according to lusakatimes.com. Tshala Kateka was recently board chairperson for Absa Bank. The People's Rapper, Chef 187, says when it comes to running his music empire, he runs it with the same business principles applied to any business entity. This hip-hop musician, signed under Alpha Entertainment Music, says when he is talking money, he definitely puts his money where his mouth is. He is Chefy 187, which implies music is food and he is the chef.
What's up? My name is Chef 187, aka the numero uno lyrical sensei, people's rapper, otherwise it's Chinso Chikaya. So business entertainment, according to Chef 187, is just a business is anything that earns you a honest living. So business entertainment is just basically business and entertainment. A lot of the time people don't really look at entertainment as a business, but there's lots of business aspects that go into entertainment itself. So let us learn to appreciate entertainment as a business, as a big business. Thank you.
Still to come on Strictly Business, let's see how our money markets are performing. Zeroing into the Kwacha, how is it performing with other foreign convertibles? And we'll get to our bio in a minute. Get to find out who we are featuring this week.
History is the foundation of which cultures are shaped. Zambia's history has continued to make a mark on both international and local levels.
Kanshiria is the center of activities.
It is this history that has been passed on from the forefathers to the younger generation. It is a story worth telling.
Important piece of infrastructure.
So join me, Chileshe Malungila, as I take you down memory lane on Minutes in History, only on ZNBC.
The continent, the fact that we're able to attract investment, there's actually a second gold rush.
Which of the foreign ministers? Which of the foreign ministers would you marry, get into business with, have as a guest for dinner at your house? So let's start. Whom would you marry first amongst the three?
My wife is watching. That was very easy.
I would marry that one.
After 9, a late night cocktail of current affairs, business, and everything in between. Less with humor.
After 9 with Brian Mulamba. Good TV taking you to bed. Exclusive to TV1.
Business yo tishita. Sometimes ngatakuli mango, kali mango isa na season. So sometimes ngatakuli mango tulamkodesa biko Mozambique datwala kasumbalesa. So nga yafika season ya mango ngoda mango nambo kushia mango kaida limati mango ila butuka ko fast abantu bali temwa. Ngatwamona iyi abako slow kuingira ko kuli ili fast of temwe abantu ifya kulia. So kali mango yali ba good abantu barayishita sana. Profit turakwata turefe pakati bati. Tetuwepo ufyati hao tugesha turefe pakati. Kurufunza uko tuya mukoda. Fimu tikulia kuinenga tuayana kakanta kesu tuaoda filafine tualeta kuntu ayisa mukutantika. Pakutantika mango tulamona ama press vile pakti motoka ama motoka repita sana. Uko tukonga kadi ama motoka eba sishita sana mango. Eba dia mango sana. Nganapo kochenga mingo da kurufunza. Mbuka chero na isa pano na isa mukutantika. Ngana tantika business chero ndashitishako. But nechungulo sana na 12 hours. Now Catherine Piri ebine andi.
You are watching Strictly Business. We get into our bio in a minute segment now. This is a 60-second segment featuring an entrepreneur who is just doing it and making a difference in our country. Let's get to find out the woman behind Java Foods. Monica Msonda's entrepreneur journey has been interesting. From advocate to real food pioneer. She was an international lawyer, worked in private practice. Among a number of renowned entities she worked for is Dangote Industries as Director Legal and Corporate Affairs. Her experience working with Africa's most successful entrepreneurs like Aliko Dangote, combined with her business lessons she learned, gave her the impetus to start her own business. She moved back to Zambia, looked for opportunities, and identified that the country had a surplus of wheat, which stimulated value-add ideas. She now provides affordable nutrition to the mass market, processed wheat into instant noodles and pasta. This resulted in her company, Java Foods. The first processing plant to be commissioned by the company went live in 2014. Monica today is winning recognition around the world for her innovation and leadership. All right, that biography there ends our Strictly Business for today. Join us again next week on Sunday at 12 for another interesting Strictly Business episode. Remember, we start your week on a business note.
Zambia has always been home, a special place where something is always happening. And information must be shared with the peace-loving citizens. And after all this time, it still remains a privilege for us to deliver information to you. Appreciating our stories, our people, our way of life. The things that really matter to us. Here, our home Zambia. We are TV1, your national broadcaster, just